December 2001. The seventh largest company in America collapsed overnight. $60 billion gone. 20,000 people lost their jobs and their entire retirement on the exact same day. Picture showing up to work with a 401k fat enough to buy a house, and driving home that night with a severance check that bounces. But what if I told you the whole empire was built on an accounting trick, so simple you could explain it to a kid running a lemonade stand? This is the story of how the smartest guys in the room turned a boring gas pipeline into a $60 billion mirage. Let's rewind to Houston, to the party before the fall. It's the year 2000. If Wall Street had a prom king, his name was Enron. This wasn't some sketchy penny stock in a strip mall. This was a Fortune 500 giant with a 50-story tower in downtown Houston, a curved glass skybridge, and a trading floor that looked like NASA mission control. Fortune magazine named Enron the most innovative company in America 6 years in a row. 6. Not innovative furniture company. Not innovative in Texas. The most innovative company in the entire United States. Back to back to back. Like the economy was handing out participation trophies, and Enron kept eating them all. And here's the funny part. Enron started as the most boring business on earth. Natural gas pipelines. Big metal tubes in the ground that move gas from point A to point B. Riveting stuff. It was the corporate equivalent of watching paint dry, except the paint was underground and you couldn't even see it. So how does a company that literally sells invisible tubes become the darling of Wall Street? One word: vision. Or if you prefer the honest word, accounting. Enter Jeffrey Skilling. Harvard MBA, sharp as a razor and allergic to anything boring. Skilling looked at those pipelines and had an idea that would eventually blow up in everyone's face. Why sell gas like a plumber, he thought, when you can trade it like a stock? So Enron stopped being a gas company and started being a gas casino. Buy contracts, sell contracts, bet on future prices. Skilling called it a gas bank. Think of Enron as the middleman at a poker table, taking a cut of every hand while convincing everyone the house never loses. Wall Street loved it. Analysts fell over themselves like teenagers at a concert. So what exactly does Enron sell? Energy, and also, the future. Right, but what's the product? The product is that the stock goes up. I'll take 1,000 shares. Nobody stopped to ask the one boring question. If this company is so wildly profitable, where is the actual cash? Spoiler. There wasn't any, but we're just getting started. Now here comes the magic trick. The one you could teach a 5-year-old. It's called mark-to-market accounting, and Skilling was obsessed with it. Normal companies count profit when the money actually shows up. Enron counted profit the second they signed a contract, based on what they guessed they'd make over the next 20 years. Imagine baking a cake to sell and writing down the profit in your notebook before the batter even hits the oven. That's mark-to-market. You dream up a number, you book it as income today, and you take a bonus home tonight. Cake optional. So Enron would sign a 20-year deal to supply energy and immediately record 2 decades of imaginary profit as if it landed in the bank that morning. We just signed a deal. How much did we make? Nothing yet. The money comes in over 20 years. Great, book all 20 years today and pay everybody a bonus. But the money isn't real. It will be, probably. The stock went up. The executives got paid. The champagne flowed. And if those profits never actually materialized, well, that was future Enron's problem, and future Enron was very busy signing new deals to book new imaginary profits. It's a treadmill made of hope, and someone forgot to check if the wall socket was plugged in. But there was a leak in the boat. All this pretend profit still created real debt, real losses, real ugliness on the books. And a public company can't just hide its garbage. Or can it? Enter the villain with the pocket protector. Andrew Fastow, the chief financial officer, a man who looked at accounting rules the way a raccoon looks at a locked trash can. A challenge. Fasto's masterpiece was a thing called special purpose entities. Sounds fancy. Here's the translation. He created fake little companies on the side, gave them mysterious names, and shoved all of Enron's debt and bad deals into them so the mothership looked squeaky clean. It's like hiding your overdue credit card bills in your neighbor's garage, then telling your wife the finances have never looked better. The bills still exist. You just can't see them from the couch. And what did Fasto name these secret dumpsters? LJM. Named after his own wife and two sons, Lee, Jeffrey, and Matthew. That's right. The CFO built the machines that would sink the company and named them after his family, like a serial killer signing his work. There were two of them, LJM-1 and LJM-2, and Fasto ran them on both sides. He was Enron's CFO negotiating deals with LJM, and he was also the guy running LJM negotiating against Enron. One man, two chairs, shaking hands with himself and skimming millions off the top. So wait, you're buying from us and selling to yourself. Correct. And you're on both sides of the deal. Also correct. Is that legal? It's innovative. Enron's own board of directors looked at this obvious conflict of interest, this walking red flag, and voted to suspend their ethics code so Fasto could do it. Twice. When the people writing the rules literally vote to turn the rules off, you're not watching a company. You're watching a heist in slow motion. So the debt disappeared into the garages, the stock kept climbing, and everyone kept smiling. What could possibly go wrong? By now, Enron wasn't a company. It was a cult with a stock ticker. Skilling built a culture so cutthroat it makes Wall Street look like a book club. He installed a system employees nicknamed Rank and Yank. Every year, managers ranked all their people from best to worst, and the bottom 15 to 20% got fired. Every single year. Imagine your job is a game of musical chairs, except they take away chairs every round, and the music is your coworker getting escorted out by security. That was Monday at Enron. The result was a building full of people terrified to say a single honest word. Nobody raised their hand and asked, "Hey, is any of this real?" Because the guy who raised his hand last year is now updating his resume in a Starbucks. Fear became the currency, and confidence became the product. Traders strutted around like rock stars. The company leased a private jet fleet. Ken Lay, the founder and chairman, butted up with senators and presidents and had a nickname in Washington, Kenny Boy. When your fraud has a friendly nickname in the halls of power, you've officially made it. To keep the party going, Enron went to California and yanked the plug on the whole state. During the 2000 energy crisis, Enron traders played games with the power grid, shutting down electricity to jack up prices, then cashing in. On recorded phone calls, they laughed about stealing money from, quote, Grandma Millie. Just cut the power. For how long? Till the price triples. What about the old lady in Fresno? Grandma Millie, she can light a candle. That's not a company that lost its way. That's a company that never had one. So how long can you fake a fortune before the math sends a bill? Turns out, not much longer. 2001. The wall socket finally got yanked. The dot-com bubble had popped, the economy was jittery, and a few pesky people started asking Enron the one question it could never answer. Where is the cash? A journalist named Bethany McLean wrote a story in Fortune with a devastatingly simple headline. Is Enron overpriced? The emperor was standing there and someone finally mentioned the draft. Then in August, the unthinkable. Jeffrey Skilling, the CEO, the true believer, the architect of the whole machine, suddenly quit. After just 6 months in the top job, he walked out for, quote, personal reasons. When the captain sprints for the lifeboat while telling everyone the ship is fine, check the water level. That's your signal. Inside the tower, a vice president named Sharon Watkins wrote a memo to Ken Lay, and it was basically a fire alarm in paragraph form. I am incredibly nervous, she wrote, that we will implode in a wave of accounting scandals. She was right down to the word. Management thanked her for the concern and then quietly explored whether they could fire her. Shooting the smoke detector never actually stops the fire. By October, the truth started leaking out of the garages. Enron announced a shocking loss and admitted it had wiped over $1 billion of value off its own books. Then it confessed it had overstated its profits for years. The magic trick was exposed on live television and the audience did not applaud. They ran. The stock, which had touched $90 a share at the peak, began falling like a piano out a window. $90, then $50, then $10, then $1. And over at the accounting firm Arthur Andersen, the auditors who were supposed to catch all of this, they weren't calling the police. They were feeding documents into the shredder. Investigators later found that Andersen destroyed roughly a ton of Enron paperwork and deleted thousands of emails, right as the government came knocking. When your auditor's first instinct is to shred, that's not a red flag. That's the whole flag store on fire. On December 2, 2001, Enron filed for bankruptcy, the largest in American history up to that point. The stock closed its life at 26 cents, from $90 to a quarter, faster than you could say most innovative company in America. So who paid the bill? Same as always. Not the guys with the private jets, the regular people. Enron had encouraged its own employees to load their retirement 401k accounts with Enron stock because, hey, the company only goes up, right? And to twist the knife, right as the stock was cratering, Enron locked the accounts during a scheduled changeover. Employees watched their entire life savings evaporate in real time and couldn't sell a single share. Imagine watching your house burn down while someone superglues your front door shut. I need to sell my Enron stock, it's crashing. Sorry, accounts are locked this week. Locked. It just dropped 80%. Please hold. Your call is important to us. Around $2 billion in retirement savings vaporized. People who worked there for 30 years walked out with a cardboard box and nothing else. The executives, though, had cashed out on the way up. Skilling and Lay had sold tens of millions in stock while telling the little guys to hold. Now the law finally showed up. Andrew Fastow, the man with the garages, pleaded guilty, flipped on his bosses and got 6 years. Jeffrey Skilling was convicted on 19 counts and sentenced to 24 years in federal prison, later trimmed down, and he served over a decade. Ken Lay was convicted too, facing the rest of his life behind bars. But before he was sentenced in July 2006, his heart gave out on a vacation in Colorado, and he died. Because he died before his appeal, the law wiped his conviction off the record entirely. He beat the system on a technicality no lawyer could ever plan. And it didn't stop with them. Arthur Andersen, one of the biggest accounting firms on the planet, was convicted of obstruction and effectively destroyed. 85,000 employees around the world, most of whom never touched Enron, lost their jobs because their bosses got greedy with a shredder. One Enron executive, Cliff Baxter, took his own life in his car in early 2002, unable to face what was coming. The wreckage went far, far past the 50-story tower. So here's what Enron actually teaches you, and it's not really about accounting. When something is too profitable to explain, it's usually too fake to survive. Enron didn't fall because it made a bad bet on gas prices. It fell because it sold a story, priced the story like a fact, and paid everyone a bonus based on the story. The pipeline was real. The genius was a marketing campaign. And maybe the scariest part is that for 6 straight years, we called them the most innovative company in America, and we meant it as a compliment. We put them on magazine covers. We taught their strategy in business schools. We wanted to believe that a company could bend the rules of money and simply win forever. Enron just gave us exactly what we asked for, an unbelievable story, right up until the moment it became literally unbelievable. So the next time a company is winning so hard that nobody can explain how, ask the only question that ever mattered. Where is the cash? because the mirage always looks best right before it disappears.